ביאור משנה א', explanation for משנה א'. כבר הקדמנו, so we already learned, שיבמה האסורה ליבם, משום מרווה. When we have a case where one of the brothers passed away, he doesn't have a seed, and one of his brothers need to marry one of the wives, if any one of the wives, okay? But if one of the wives is not permitted to him because she's erva on him, which means she's one of the things you're not allowed to get married to, one of the relationships you're not allowed to get married to, ptura min hayibum umin hachalitza. So then she doesn't need to wait for yibum. She doesn't even need to wait for chalitza. She can go get married to whoever she wants. She's free. She doesn't fall under zikat yibum. She doesn't owe anything. She doesn't have to wait. She's not in limbo. Not only she's gone, if he has 10 wives, if one of them cannot get married to this guy, the other 10 cannot, that's all, they don't need to wait. Because you can say, marry one of the other ones. Says, no. If you cannot do the whole thing,
the whole family,
that's it. That's it. ואף פותרת היא צרותיה. So now, she doesn't have to do the wives also. היינו את שאר הנשים של האח המת, the other wives of the dead brother. מן הייבום, מן החליצה, they don't need to wait for ייבום, they don't need to wait חליצה, they can get married right away. So now, משנתנו, our Mishnah is going to start enumerating 15 עריות, 15 women who have family relationships or non-family relationship that now you're not allowed, you cannot do ייבום וחליצה, and they're פותרים את השניות. And now none of the other wives need to get in touch. את צרותיהם ואת צרות צרותיהם. Not only the sister wives, we're going to see, sometimes it happens that you get married, the guy dies, then one of the other brothers is supposed to marry her. He has other wives. So now those wives, right, on the other side, not connected at all, they also are not, if the second brother dies, they also cannot go back to Shimon, to the first guy. So this is tzarot tzarotehem. So, and it goes like this, even if 100 people die. Like this, none of the wives in the circle, if one of them cannot get married to the first guy, so you can have 2,000 people, 2,000 women, who cannot get married, do not need to wait for Yibam and Chalitza. They're tzarot, but not for the first wife, to the second marriage, or for the third marriage, or for the fourth marriage. And you add, he doesn't have only one wife, he has 5 wives, let's say. So all these ones, from all those marriages, doesn't matter, they don't need to wait. Yeah, turot. That's what it's going to say. Mina Yibum, Mina Chalitza, they immediately can go. Okay, let's start. Ready? The beginning, it's easy. 15 Nashim. There are 15 types of women. המנויות להלן, that we're going to say now, שהן אסורות ליבם משום ערווה. That they are prohibited to one of the brothers because they're prohibited relationships. By the way, your brother's wife is also a prohibited relationship. But the Torah specifies it. That's why. But everything else now, if she's also, besides your brother's wife, something else, that's it. It kills it. She continues to become prohibited. So even though your brother's wife is prohibited, the Torah tells you, but now do it. But now if she has something else prohibited, that's it. It takes it off. Not only from her, from everybody else. פותרות צרותיהן, so they're going to make sure their sister wives, let's call them, are not obligated to wait for ייבום or chalitza, וצרות צרותיהם מן החליצה, and also the wives of the wives from the other marriages from the chalitza. ומן הייבום, or from ייבום. כמו שבארנו בפתיחה למסכתנו, just like we explained in the beginning of the מסכת, שאם הייתה אחת מהם נשואה לאחיו. Let's take the example now, slowly. Let's say Rachel was married, we're going to use the tribes because it's easier. We know the brothers. Rachel was married to Shimon. Right? והייתה לו אישה אחרת. So Rachel and Leah are married to Shimon. Two wives.
You mean Rachel ולאה באמת או?
No. Two girls named Rachel and Leah.
Oh, okay.
Rachel and Leah are married to Shimon. והרי נקראות הן צרות זו לזו. So Rachel and Leah are צרות. Each one narrows the brothers, what the צרות means. They narrow the husband. ומת אחיו בלא בנים. And his brother passed away without any sons. ונפלו שתי אנשים לפניו לייבוד. So Shimon has Rachel and Leah already there, and now he needs to marry his brother's wife. That,
Wives.
or one wife. I think I made a mistake.
Here is that both they want to marry.
Okay. So
That's what it says.
okay, so we'll see. שתיהם פטורות מן החליצה ומן היוביל. So they both don't need to do חליצה or יובום. Why? שהואיל והאחת פטורה משום איסור ערווה, if one of them is prohibited on him, on Shimon, הרי היא פותרת גם את צרתה. So she doesn't need to worry צרתה. So now let's say, Shimon and Levi are brothers. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Reuven, Shimon, Levi are all brothers. Shimon has his wives. Levi, let's say, had a wife or two wives, and he passed away. But Levi married Shimon's daughter, his niece.
Yeah.
Levi married his niece. So now Shimon cannot do Yibum after Levi died because he's marrying his daughter. He's not allowed to marry his daughter. So you tell him, maybe I'm not allowed to marry my daughter, but I have Reuven. Let Reuven marry my daughter. Just as the same thing, his niece, he's allowed to. So it's true, Shimon cannot marry any of the wives. Also not the other one. Cannot do Yibum in any of them. But Reuven now can make Yibum and Chalitza on the one of the wives, whichever one he chooses. So let's say, ואם היה לו עוד אח, let's take Reuven, זאת my daughter, שאין היבמות קרובתיו, ונתייבמה לו צרת הערווה. So he made a Yibum in whom? Not in the daughter, not in his niece, in the other wife. ולא אישה אחרת. And Reuven has another wife, already with 4 wives. ומת אף הוא בלא בנים. And he also died without any sons. שהרי אחת מהם הייתה צרת הערווה. וזו פותרת גם את האחרת. היינו את צרתה של הערווה. So now what you're going to say? Shimon, maybe he can go and marry the other wife of Reuven. Nothing to do. But he can't. Because they put them together already. You see the relationship? Yeah. They were already put together. So once they're together, that's it. Everybody is prohibited to him. Okay? That's the idea. That's tzarat tzarata. Okay. Until when? How many times you can go? Until Sof HaOlam. Ad Sof HaOlam. And you can do it forever. Reuven died and he did Yibum. And then more. It doesn't matter how many marriages happen in between. All those women, you can have the entire land of Israel. You know, every woman is prohibited to you. Yeah? אפילו צרות תהן. Even if it comes like this, all the wives down the line. וכבר הבאנו בפתיחה למסכנו טעמים אחדים על כך. We already explained a few reasons for that. משנתנו נקטה, our Mishnah is a little bit strange. It says that she is, it says, מן החליצה ומן האיבום. It should say, מן האיבום or ומן החליצה, because ibum comes first. If you don't want to leyabem, then you do chalitza. Why does it say, so the question now is, why does it say chalitza first and ibum second? ולא מן הייבום ומן החליצה, כמו שנקטו בפתיחה למסכתנו. Why does it change the order? שכן היא רוצה להשמיענו, because the Mishnah wants to teach us, שמצוות חליצה קודמת למצוות ייבום. It tells you that the mitzvah of chalitza comes before the mitzvah of yibum. כמו ששנו in בכורות, מצוות ייבום קודמת למצוות חליצה. It says ייבום comes before חליצה, בראשונה. It says, when does ייבום come before חליצה? In the good old generations. When people used to marry the wife of the brother, because the idea was not to, because she looked good, because look, she's now, what's going to happen with her? Who's going to marry her with 5 sons? It's my responsibility to make sure that she survives. You know, so the only reason you really married her, not because you wanted to another wife to, like the Arabs, like you wanted to another wife to have fun with. I'm taking responsibility for my brother's wife. Part of the responsibility is also to have relationship with her. But that's not why I'm marrying her. I'm marrying her because I'm taking care of my brother's wife. That's how it used to be in the good old days, even in the Mishnah's good old days. That's what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah is saying, in the good old days, that's what it used to be. שהיו מתכוונים לשם מצווה. They had in mind to take care of the wife. ועכשיו שאין מתכוונים לשם מצווה, and the Mishnah says, but now, unfortunately nowadays, they're just happy that they have another somebody to sleep with at night. Yeah, it's another experience. אמרו, מצוות חליצה קודמת למצוות ייבום. Even in the time of the Mishnah, it says, you're marrying for the wrong reason. You know what? It's better that you do chalitza than yibum. Don't marry her. Let her go to the market. You don't take her. Because we know why you want her. You don't want her because you actually want to take care of her. You want because you want her to take care of you. So, we're going to stop over here. So that's why they changed chalitza to yibum.
Still have this chalitza, or it's only
No. It's only when you have 0, and we're going to discuss later on.
Just when they have no kids.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss later on what is kids. We're going to have to discuss what is kids. Is kids from anusa are considered kids? If you have a mamzer with somebody else's wife, is it considered a kid? We'll discuss all this later on.
Just right.
Yeah. But so far is a seed. We don't know what a seed is, but usually a son or a daughter. Okay? מן הייבום פטורה, אף מן החליצה, כמו שביארנו כבר הטעם בסתיכן וחסדנו. Okay. So, if there's no yibum, there's no chalitza. If you're not required to do yibum, you're not required to do chalitza, and that's it. Okay. Ve'elu hen. So these are the 15 women that if they have a relationship, any kind of relationship with you, all the other tzarot and tzarot do not have a look. ואלו 15 עריות, 15 prohibitions of marriage, הפותרות את צרתיהן. That because of them, nobody has to do ייבום and חליצה. מן החליצה ומן הייבום. First of all, ביתו, like the example that we gave, his daughter, yeah, if your daughter comes over to you, you need to marry her. I can't marry my daughter. That's it. ובת ביתו, his granddaughter, same thing. בת ביתו, ובת בנו, and also the daughter of his son. Same thing. Any offsprings of you, any grandchildren, any sons or daughters, or any grandchildren, it doesn't matter from sons or daughters. So he's going to say, now he's going to discuss a little bit of your question. Bito, Hainu, who's Bito? What's his daughter? Hainu, Ben Bito shenolda lo meishto. His daughter is considered anyone who was born from his legitimate wife, hanesu'a lo bekidushin, a wife that he's been married to, uben bito shenolda lo ma'anusato. Even if he went and raped somebody and didn't marry her afterwards, it's still considered his daughter. He's not allowed. He cannot say it because it says bat ishto, the daughter of his wife. She's not the daughter of my wife. Yeah, but she's considered to be your offspring still. וכן בת ביתו ובת בנו, אפילו מאונוסתו. And also the daughter of his son and the daughter of his daughter, even from not his wife. It's not somebody that came from his wife, but it's his seed, he's not allowed.
What do you mean מאונוסתו?
Somebody he raped. Yeah. It means he's not his... The wife says you're not allowed to marry bat ishto. You're not allowed to marry your wife's daughter. Right? But she's not my wife's daughter. She's somebody else's. But she's not my wife's daughter. So maybe I'm allowed to marry her. Yeah. Again, the Torah says, just if let's say the Torah says you're not allowed to marry your wife's daughter. Right? The Torah didn't say you're not allowed to marry somebody else's wife's daughter. A person raped somebody else's wife, and he has a daughter from her. Maybe I'm allowed to marry her. It's only my wife's daughter I'm not allowed to marry.
But it's your daughter.
I know, but
because she lives in a different family, like it's yours, not yours.
You look. Just think about technically. I don't know if we discussed later on it, but if the Torah only states you're not allowed to marry your wife's isha ubita. You remember how the Torah says it? Yeah. Your wife's daughter you're not allowed to marry. Let's say that's what the Torah says. It didn't say any rules about somebody else's wife's daughter. She's somebody else. It happens to be your daughter in somebody else's wife, a mamzeret. But it doesn't say I'm not allowed to marry her. Okay? For example. And over here, the anusa doesn't look like she's married, because otherwise she'd be mamzeret. She'd be not allowed to you anyway. So she's not a married woman, it looks like the anusa. Kegon. He's going to give an example. Here's the example. אם נשא שמן את ביתו של ראובן אחיו. Shimon married the daughter of Reuven, his brother. He married his niece. הוא מת בלא בנים. And Shimon died without any sons. והניח גם נשים אחרות. And he also has other wives, not only his daughter, but other wives. כשם שביתו פטורה מן החליצה מן הייבום, just like he cannot marry his daughter, now he cannot marry any of them. So therefore, they can all don't need ייבום וחליצה, they can go to the market. כך כולם פטורות ונאסרות עליו באיסור אשת אח. So they're all not obligated, because they are now the prohibition of your brother's wife comes again. It only goes away for a second if you're allowed to marry all of them. Once you're not allowed to marry all of them, now the prohibition, now that your brother's wife, they're prohibited on you. You're not allowed to marry your brother's wife. Okay. Bat Ishto, the daughter of his wife, Ubat Bna. By the way, Bat Ishto, the daughter of... No, doesn't have to be. Can be a daughter from another marriage. See, she was married beforehand, and she has the daughter from the previous marriage, and that's Bat Ishto. See, it doesn't have to be your daughter. Yeah, your daughter for sure, that's not allowed. But even it's not your daughter, I've got no relationship with her. But your wife has the relationship with her from a previous marriage, you're still not allowed to. She's still there. That's Bat Ishto. Bat Ishto Ubat Bna, or the daughter of her son. That has nothing to do with me. Her son from previous marriage. We're not even family. There's nothing to do with me. What do you want from me? No, it's still related, and now everybody can go free. Ubat Bna, Ubat Bita, and also the daughter of a daughter. כשיש לאשתו בת מבעלה הקודם, when the wife has a daughter from a previous husband, הבת אסורה עליו. The daughter is prohibited on him. ואף ביתה של הבת אסורה עליו. Even 3 generations. The granddaughter, nothing to do with me. It's a different family. What do you want for my life? No, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to marry the daughter of your wife. And she's the daughter of your wife. That's it. It's over. וכן כשיש לאשתו בן מבעלה הקודם, the same thing. If your daughter has a husband from a previous marriage, ביתו של הבן אסורה עליו. The daughter of the son is prohibited on him. שנאמר, and how do we know this? It says, ערוות אישה וביתה לא תגלה. It says, if you married the wife, her daughter, you should not reveal. What do you mean her daughter? It's her daughter from previous, no, not your daughter. It's not talking about your daughter. Okay. It's talking about her daughter, some other daughter. את בת בנה ואת בת ביתה לא תיקח לגלות ערוותה. And it continues, not even the daughter of her son or the daughter of a daughter. רש"י מפרש, רש"י explains, שמה ששנינו משנתנו ביתו, the Rashi says, when it says ביתו, it doesn't mean, it's obvious that Bito is not, you cannot marry her. The Mishnah doesn't need to tell you. So it says Bito from Anusato. You would think maybe an Anusa is not under the obligation. Hainu Bito me Anusato. This is a daughter from so-called Anusato, somebody forced. Vechen bat Bito bat bno, and also the daughter of his daughter and the daughter of his son. She'ilu Bito mi ishto anesua lo bekidushim, because his daughter from a woman who's married to him properly in Kiddushim, Hainu bat ishto, the daughter of his wife, Shekivan shekatuv, it says that you don't need the verse for, because there's another verse. It says, Ervat isha ubita lo tegale. I don't need that word. Yeah, so that verse, Rashi says, it's not even, that verse that we had before, Ervat isha ubita lo tegale, et bat bna ve'et bat bita lo tegale lo tervada. It says that I already know from that this is already says anusato. So this is what it says. Mashma afilu bita sheyesh la miba'ala kodem. That's why I learn it, even a daughter from a previous marriage, nothing to do with anusa. Umikel sheken bita sheyalda mimeno. And how much more so a daughter from him? You don't have to say that. Beram bito me anusato, but he says his daughter from anusa, from somebody he raped. Lemedim, that you learn, he disagrees, that you learn from a different verse. Which verse does Rashi learn it from? Shene'emar, ervat bat bincha or bat bitcha lo tegale ervatan. He learns it from a different verse. It says, the first verse is Vayikra Yud Chet, and this is Vayikra Yud. Doesn't matter, but he learns it from a different verse. He learns it, Ervat bat bincha, it says the nakedness of the daughter of your son, or the daughters of your daughter, you should not reveal ervatan. In other words, the whole discussion is which verses you learn it from. But they all agreed that this is not allowed. Okay. Next one. Chamuto. If your mother-in-law becomes a yibum. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Mother-in-law?
Yeah, what's the problem? Easy. Your brother married your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law. For example, let's say I have a brother.
I have your older brother.
No, you forget that people have kids, not like today. You can have the uncle younger than the niece. Especially in I know a lot of religious families who the uncle is younger than the niece. Yeah. Many, especially in those times. Yeah, forget today. Yeah. So, for example, his brother married his mother-in-law. Right? And then the brother died. So now your mother-in-law comes over to you. So you're not allowed to marry her. Yeah? Chamuto. Em ishto, the mother of his wife, shemet ba'ala, that her husband died, ונישאה לאחיו, and she was married to your brother, ומת אחיו בלא בנים, and somebody's brother passed away without any sons, כגון, let's take an example, שנישאה חמותו של שמעון, the mother-in-law of Shimon married after מות בעלה, after her husband died, לראובן אחיו, she married Reuven his brother, והוא מת בלא בנים, and Reuven passed away without any sons. ונמצא שחמותו של שמעון, so now we find out that the mother-in-law of Shimon נפלה לפני שמעון ליבום. Now he has to marry her for ייבום. אם הניח ראובן עוד נשים, if Reuven has more wives, not only the mother-in-law, he has 6 more wives, let's say, כשם שחמותה פטורה מן החליצה, just like the mother-in-law doesn't need to ייבום חליצה, everybody doesn't need ייבום חליצה. כן צרותיה פטורות מן החליצה מן ייבום. Everybody else is also not obligated, just like the daughter, same idea. יש רוצים לפרש חמותו, there are those who want to explain חמותו כפשוטו, his real mother-in-law, כגון שנשא שמעון את ביתו של ראובן אחיו ומתה. For example, Shimon married Reuven, the daughter of Reuven, his brother, and she died. ואחר כך מת ראובן בלא בנים, and then Reuven died without any sons, ונמצאת חמותו של שמעון נפלת לפני שמעון לייבום. So the second one is the way we explained in the beginning. Shimon's mother-in-law falls in front of Shimon. Okay, it doesn't matter which way, it's prohibited. Once this one, if she's prohibited on you, everybody. Okay, next. Ve'em chamato ve'em chamiv. Also the same idea, we're not going to go into the whole discussion, how did it happen, but you see it can happen. The mother of his mother-in-law and the mother of his father-in-law. Same idea. Ve'em avia shel ishto, and the mother of the father of his... You know when this is going to be very, very important? When Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, I tell you what's going to be. It's going to be very difficult. Because there's going to be the resurrection of the dead. Everybody is going to come to life. So the question is, there's still going to be death, even in time of Mashiach. There's going to be accidents. You can't prevent accidents. There's not going to be evil in the world, but accidents will happen, right? So let's say somebody will die. Just let's say take the example. Sarah. Abraham passed away. He came back to life, and Abraham passed away. It was an accident, a plane crash, I don't know. Whatever. Abraham is gone. Can you marry Sarah? Now you ask me, but Sarah is so old. Sarah is going to look like 20 years old. And I want to marry Sarah. Am I allowed to marry Sarah? You know? So look how complicated it's going to be.
It's your mother.
Exactly. So this is what he meant. The mother of your father-in-law. It's the same. The whole thing. Yeah. I don't know if this is prohibited for everything. Yeah. But this is at least for the 2 generations up. It's prohibited.
That's the concept here.
Yeah. ואם אביה של אשתו, כל אלו, and if all of these, חמותו, his mother-in-law, ואם חמתו, ואם חמתיו, the mother-in-law of his, the mother of his mother-in-law, and the mother of his father-in-law, אסורות לו משום ערוות אישה וביתה לא תגלה. They're prohibited because it says, a woman and your daughter, you should not get a relationship with. את בת בנה ואת בת ביתה, like the sentence says, שכשם שמפורשת אזהרה על דורות שלמטה, just like we have the prohibition on downwards to the grandchildren, כך מוסבת האזהרה על דורות שלמעלה. So we also prohibited upwards. אחותו מאמו, his... no, מאמו, from his mother. It's not from his father, it's less, it's less severe. It's less severe. Less severe. Father is your father. It's not a Bigelman. Achoto me'imo is, she's not a Bigelman. She's not even your, it's a different tribe. Yeah. It's not your nation. What do you, how she's related? She's that's right. You would think maybe it's not even Zeu. So he says, also we're going to bring her into the picture. Even because logically you can think she's not family. Achoto me'imo, his sister from his mother, שנישאה לאחיו מאביו, that she married to your brother to a brother from the father side. She was married to your brother from the father side. שהרי היא מותרת לו, הואיל ואינה אחותו. She's permitted to him since she's not his sister. ואם מת אחיו בלא בנים, and if his brother died, so the brother is allowed to marry her, you're not allowed to. But the brother died without any sons now. נמצאת אחותו מאמו, נופלת לפניו לייבום. Now your sister from your mother comes over to you. So just like she cannot marry her, everybody else goes free. וכיוון שהיא אסורה לו, and since she's prohibited to him, הרי הוא פוטר את הפצרותיה מן החליצה ומן הייבום, that means that everybody else can go. All the other wives. ואחות אמו, and also the sister of his mother, that she was buried to his brother. He's not allowed to marry her, but his brother is allowed to marry her. והאחות מאמו, and a sister of his mother, שנישאת לאחיו מאביו. You're not allowed to because you have a family relationship. Your brother though doesn't because he didn't get married into the family. Only you did. Second marriage. You got connected to her through second marriage. Yeah? The same mother. Half sisters, let's call it. She's half sister to you, but she's not half sister to your brother. ואחות אמו שנישאה לאחיו מאביו, the same thing, the sister of his mother, ואחות אשתו ואשת אחיו מאמו, and the sister of his wife, and the sister of his brother from his mother. Again, from the mother's side, because on the father's side, obviously she's a sister also. You're not allowed to. כגון שהיה לוי אחיו של שמעון. Let's take the example. Levi was the brother of Shimon. רק מצד האם. In other words, he was the brother of only from the mother's side, not from the father's side. וכשמת לוי, and when Levi passed away, נישאה אשתו לראובן. His wife married Reuven, אחיו של שמעון מאביו. The brother of Shimon from his father. שהרי היא מותרת לו, because she's permitted to him. There's no family there. ומת ראובן בלא בנים. And now, but Reuven passed away without any sons. So now your sister's, whatever the thing, your sister's wife now comes back to you. Your wife's sister, now you're not allowed to marry two sisters. So therefore, your brother is allowed to marry your wife's sister. You're not allowed to marry your wife's sister. ונפלו נשיו לפני שמעון אחיו ליבום. And now Shimon is not allowed to marry his wife's sister. His brother was allowed to. וביניהם גם זו שהייתה תחילת אשת לוי. And one of these wives is also the one that was married to Levi in the beginning. היינו אשת אחיו מאמו. This is what it means, the case of the wife of his brother from his mother. והיא אסורה לו. And she is prohibited to him. שנאמר, ערוות אשת אחיך לא תגלה. Because it says the nakedness of your brother's wife you should not reveal. ודרשו אחיך, and over there they learned, your brother, בן מן האב, בן מן האם, any brother, father or mother. ואומנם מצוות ייבום מוציאה את אשת האח. Hey, but we say ייבום is stronger than the prohibition of your sister of your brother. מכלל איסור ערווה, אבל אין מצוות ייבום אלא באשת אח מן האב. Here's the difference. Yibum, the commandment, is only with the wife of your brother from the father. It's not from your brother. So therefore there's no Yibum on her. And now she's prohibited because she's your brother's sister. Whatever. וכמו שהבנו כבר בפתיחה למסכתנו. ולא באשת אח מן האם. So therefore there's no yib. The yibum doesn't trump because it only goes to the father's side. It doesn't go to the mother's side. Therefore you're not allowed to marry her. You're not allowed to marry her. You're not allowed to marry any of the wives. ומכאן שאשת אחיו מאמו. So from here the wife of his brother from his mother אסורה לו לעולם. She's always prohibited to him. ואם נתנה לפניו ליבום. And if you need to make yibum in her, כמו שבאנו לעיל, הרי היא פותרת ופותרת צרותיה מלחצה מיבום. You cannot marry her. Because the commandment of Yibum doesn't fall on the mother's side, only on the father's side. And just like you cannot marry her, everybody else goes away. Okay, another problem. What about, this is going to be a nice one. Eshet achiv shelo haya be'olamo. The wife of the brothers that wasn't born yet. Let's explain. He's going to explain what it means. The wife of the brother, he wasn't born at the time that the guy died, I think. We'll see. היינו, שמת אחיו בלא בניו. Somebody's brother passed away without any sons. קודם שהוא נולד, before he was born. וזו אינה בתורת ייבום. So let's take the example. The example is like this. The guy got married at 14 years old, 15 years old at the time, let's say. Yeah? He got married and he passed away and then the person was born. His brother was born from the mother. It's only 15 years, it's very possible. Yeah? So now you say, so the new guy that was born should make Yibum on those ones. So he wasn't even there when the brother passed away. So that's it. There's no Yibum on him. He doesn't have any responsibility for me.
He wasn't in Olamo.
That's right. He wasn't in the world.
At the same time.
That's right. Even though he's the brother, he was the brother only after the brother passed away. Okay? שנאמר, because it says, כי ישבו אחים יחדיו. The verse says, if the brothers live together, they need to be alive at the same time. ומת אחד מהם, and then one of them died. See, and then one of them died. ודרשו חכמים, and the sages learned, שאין ייבום, אלא לאחים שהייתה להם ישיבה אחת בעולם. That if a person didn't live together with his brother, then there's no ייבום. ואם יבמה אח אחר שהיה עמו בעולמו, But if another brother did the Yibum, that the other brother was alive, ואף הוא מת בלא בנים, and he also died without any sons, וניח עוד נשים מלבד אשת אחיו שאימה, and there's more women besides these women, וכולם עכשיו נפלי האח, so now it's 30 years later, yeah? And there's many wives now that come back to the third brother. He wasn't there when the first brother passed away, but he was there when the second brother passed away. הואיל וזו אסורה לו, since the first one from the first brother was prohibited in the beginning, now everybody is prohibited. All those wives are prohibited. הרי היא פותרת את צרותיה מן החיצה מן הייבום כפעל להלן.
They would let him marry.
Yeah, because since the first one, she's prohibited on him, then everybody is prohibited on him. The first one is not prohibited because of the second brother, because of the first brother she's prohibited.
The first brother.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in the Olamot.
That's right. So he has no, she's not, there's no mitzvah of yibum on her, therefore she is prohibited for him, mishom eshet achiv. Okay. Vekalato, and his daughter-in-law, kala. Right? Daughter-in-law. כגון שמת בנו של ראובן, for example, a person's son passed away, וכלשתו, אשת בנו, and the daughter and the wife of his son, נישאת לשמעון אחיו, becomes married to Shimon, his brother. והיו לשמעון עוד נשים, and Shimon had more wives. ומת שמעון בלא בנים, and Shimon died without any sons. ונפלו נשי שמעון לפני ראובן ליבום, and the wives of Shimon fell in front of Reuven to make a yibum. הואיל וכלותו אסורה לו, since his daughter-in-law is prohibited to him, משום ערווה, it's a prohibition, one of the prohibitions in the Torah, הרי היא פותרת גם את צרותיה מן החליצה מן הייבום, so also everybody else is פטור. הרי אלו, so here, now we finished. This behold, 15 העריות שנמנו במשנתנו, the 15 kind of women that we just mentioned, פותרות צרותיהם בצרות צרותיהם, they don't have to marry one of the brothers, neither do the sister's wife need to marry, מן החליצה, מן המיובם עד סוף העולם. And it doesn't matter how many times people die in between. If the first one was prohibited, any of them was prohibited to one of the, that's it, they all can go free. וכולן, כל העריות הללו, אם מתו בחיי אביו, and all these עריות, all these prohibited relationships, if they died, if they passed away in the life of his brother, כלומר שהיו נשואות לאחיו, that they were married to his brother, אבל מתו בחייו, and they died when you were alive, because if you're not alive, that's it. או מי ענו, or there's another case that we're going to learn on, if a woman below the age of 12, yeah, under certain circumstances, the father can marry her off. Yeah, we're going to see. There's going to be particular circumstances. He needs to, whatever the circumstances are, we're going to learn later on. But there are certain circumstances that the father can marry her off. So if he marries her off and she gets to the age of 12, she can say, I'm not interested in the marriage. I don't want it. And she can go out immediately. So in other words, there was no marriage there whatsoever. She has the right.
That has nothing to do with Yibum.
Oh.
Just a different rule.
Yeah, she was one of the wives. Her husband died. And she was a small one.
Oh.
And she mi'ana. And she said, I don't want my husband. או מי'anu. שכן קטנה יתומה מאביה. Because a small child that doesn't have a father, which means she's going to die of hunger right now, pretty much. שסיוע האימה או אחיה, the mother or the brother say, look, we don't have enough food to feed her. Let's give her over to someone to take care of her. In other words, it wasn't even so much. People were normal there. You know, yeah, she's going to get married to him. But later on, לפי תקנת חכמים, according to the sages, הרשות בידה בעודה קטנה, she has the right, when she's still small, למען בבעלה ולומר שאינה רוצה לחיות עם בעלה. It says, they gave me over, I'm not interested in you. What do you want from me? והיא יוצאת ממנו בלא גט. And she's allowed to go out, she doesn't even need to get. In other words, there was never a marriage over here. It says, the marriage לכתחילה wasn't a marriage. ואף כאן מדובר שהעריות היו קטנות יתומות מאביהן. So also over here we're talking about a case that they were married. Yeah, the brother was married, but he was married to 5 girls who were all young ones. He might have been, I'll give you an example.
How can you marry a 12-year-old? I don't know.
Let me explain this practically. How it used to be. People, it's not what we think today, what marriage is. You remember Kiddushin in that time? Erusin in Kiddushin was taken in different times. Over here, it's Erusin. Erusin is the main part. Not necessarily he was with her. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But the Erusin already made a Yebama. It catches the Yibum. Yeah. So I'll give you an example practically. There was a time in Eretz Israel where there was a big famine in Eretz Israel. And in Eretz Israel, there was the Kohanim happened to have a lot of truma at the same time, even though from last year, yeah, but it was going and rotting. All this truma was going and rotting. So one of the Kohanim, what did he do? One of those Kohanim, there were people who were dying of hunger all over Israel. He went and he married, I think, I don't remember the amount, I think more than 1,000, much more than 1,000. Like he married half the country. All the small girls in the country he married, so they can eat truma. Very good. So they can eat truma. So it wasn't done the way we think. He wants to marry her. Also remember, the erusin, the marriage ceremony is the erusin part. That's what makes it. And many times there was 10, 15 years between them. So yes, she was maybe 8 years old, but she's going to get married when she's 18 or 17 or 16. It's not, we have a dirty mind, we think he's married now. Yeah, practically. And there's another thing that you have to remember. Many times people married at that time at the age of 14, 15. It wasn't like today, yeah. People, like in Mexico, you go to the village in Mexico, what did they get married? 14, 15, 16, they're already married, they have children at 14, 15, 16. So the same thing over there, you can imagine. Yeah. ונתקדשו לאחיו על ידי אמותיהם או אחיהם, so those women got married to they had kiddushin through their mothers or father, ומיענו בו, and then they say, we don't want. ואף בביתו ייתכן מיעון. Also in his daughter, it is possible that there's going to be a mi'un, that she's going to disagree. כגון, for example, שהציע אביה לאחד, that her father says, hey, marry my daughter, so she can eat whatever, ונתגרשה ממנו בעודה קטנה, and she divorced him when she was still small. והרי היא נקראת יתומה בחיי האב. In such a case, she's considered to be a יתומה. Why is she יתומה? Because she's a divorcee. She's not under the father's auspices anymore. Because she went out from his auspices, she became the responsibility of somebody else. But he divorced her, so now she doesn't go back to the father, she is considered to be an orphan. ששוב אין לאביה רשות בה. The father now cannot go and, for example, annul her vows or do things that he was able to do with his daughter. והלכה ונישאה לאחי אביה בעודה קטנה. And she went and she married her uncle when she was still small. ויצאה ממנו קודם מיתתו במיעון. And before he died, she says, I don't like my uncle. I'm leaving him. שאף בכיכון זה יכולה למען בבעלה כל זמן שהיא קטנה. In other words, she always has miun. You might think that she doesn't have miun. Why doesn't she have miun? Because she's already a divorcee. She doesn't have the right of her father. Who gives her the right to say no? Because she was forced into it. Here she was not forced into it. So you think maybe she doesn't have the right. So she says no. She still has, if she's below the age of 12, she still has the right to say, I don't want it, and that's it.
But here they don't mean that they married to him, they mean that she engaged him.
Maybe even married to him. It's possible that it's even married. But yes, Kiddushin means Irusin in all the Torah. Okay. Or if happens, נתגרשו מאחיו בגט. Or they got divorced from his brother with a proper get, not על ידי מיון. Miun is a type of get. but a proper get, a proper divorce procedure, או שנמצאו היולנית, or that we find that she's an היולנית. Not what's היולנית? היולנית is, היינו אישה שאינה מסוגלת ללדת, it's a woman who's not able to give birth, מטבע בריאתה. That's the way she was born. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities what she can be. Many women don't they don't get puberty. Not many. There's a condition that they don't have puberty. Is because they never reach puberty. They pretty much look like a man, like a small boy, their entire life. They don't develop breasts. They don't reach puberty. They don't go through. They never get a menstrual cycle. A problem. They don't have a menstrual cycle. You don't have a menstrual cycle, you cannot give birth. That's it. Whatever the case is. Or they just can't. But it's important because there's symptoms for Ilonit. A regular woman... Yeah, exactly. והיא מכונה כך מלשון איל זכר. And why do you call it איילונית? Because that's what an איל is. An איל is a male. לפי שאין לה סימני אישה. She doesn't menstruate, she doesn't have the signs of a woman, doesn't have any breasts, and so on. וכל שהיא היולונית, אינה בת ייבום. And any woman that she's a היולונית, the whole idea is she doesn't have a zera. Over here, she can never give a zera, so now she's not in it, everybody else is not in it also. שנאמר, והיה הבכור אשר תלד, because it says, in the firstborn that she will give birth to. פרט להיולנית, שאינה יולדת. Over here, why does it say that? This is to exclude this woman who cannot give birth. וכל שאינה בת ייבום, and since that she cannot do ייבום in her, הרי היא פטורה גם מן החליצה, therefore she also doesn't need חליצה. She can immediately go and marry whoever she wants. וזה ששנינו כאן, או שנמצאו ילונית, and this is that we find over here, or that they will find, or that one of the wives was an ילונית, היינו שהעריות נמצאו הילונית ואינם בנות ייבום. That one of the prohibitions is an היולנית and cannot do ייבום. בכל המקרים הללו, in all these cases, צרותיהם מותרות. She and everybody else amongst her now, everybody is permitted. You don't need to wait for one of their brothers to do מיון, להתייבם. שבשעה שנופלת לפני הייבום, because at the time all these women fall in front of the brother, אין הן צרותיה של ערווה. They're not her sister wives. Why? בעניין עריות שנמצאו היולנית, because one of them cannot give birth. So one of them cannot give birth, since he cannot do yibim to her, just the same way, she's like his daughter. He cannot do to anybody else.
A guy that married alonit kazot, he knows to begin with that if he will die, nobody will marry his wife.
That's right.
In a way.
That's right. That's right. המדייקים בלשון המשנה שנמצאו, because the Mishnah says that we'll find. ומפרשים, and they explain, שמדובר כאן בחגון שלא הכיר בה מתחילה שלונית. So it says, why did he marry her? I didn't know. I didn't know she was in her. How can you know? ונמצאו מקחו מקח טעות. In other words, it wasn't her fault, but if I would have known, I wouldn't have done the deal. And there's such a case, if I wouldn't have done the deal, I can go back on the deal. והרי היא כאילו לא הייתה אשתו. So we consider it as if she wasn't his wife. הילקח אין שאר הנשים של אחיו צרות הערווה. So you can use it for kula. You can say that if one of the ערווה is an היולנית, that's what you can say, because she was never a wife, she doesn't let go the other wives. In other words, she's not part of the system because she wasn't his wife. But, אבל פסקו בגמרא, but they said in the Gemara, שהלכה היא, that the law is, שאפילו הכיר בה אחיו כשנשא, that even if the brother knew when he married her, ונמצא שלא היה מקחו מקח טעות, and we found that he wasn't mistaken, I knew what I'm getting into, מכל מקור צרותיה מותרות. Even in such a case, she takes everybody away, שהואיל והאילונית אינה בת ייבום, because once the האילונית, you cannot marry her, we're going to consider her as a wife. Even though you might come with intellectual ideas, she wasn't one of the wives, you can't get out of it. She's one of the wives, everybody go free. That's it. And
She can bring zera.
yeah. But we're going to consider it as if she is one of the wives and she doesn't. ואין שאר הנשים קרויות צרותיה לעניין ייבום. And not, the other wives are not called her צרות when it comes to ייבום. ואי אתה יכול לומר בחמותו ובחמתו ובחמיו שנמצאו ילדות. It says, and obviously you cannot say about your mother-in-law and the mother of your mother-in-law and the mother of your brother-in-law, hey, I think they're Ayolonit. Because they've got children. They've got children already. או שמיענו. You cannot even say that they are מיענו. אין יכולים לומר בהם שנמצאו יולונית. You cannot find, hey, maybe they are, cannot give birth. שהרי כבר קודם ילדו, קודם שניסו לאחיו. ואין היולונית יודעת, if they gave birth, that's the definition of not being an היולונית. וכן אי אפשר לומר בהם שמיענו, and also you cannot say in those guys that they refused to be married, שהואיל וכבר ילדו, because there's a proof that they're an adult in the marriage. What's the proof? They gave birth. If a woman gave birth, that's an adult, a proof that she's an adult woman. She's only allowed to lema'en when she's a child. Over here, there's a proof she already gave birth. That's it. She cannot do mi'un anymore. הרי גדולות הן, ואין ממאנת אלא קטנה. And only a small one can do mi'un. Okay. Now, after we done all this thing, Mishnatenu ikidat Rabbi Yehuda. This Mishnah is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. You can learn this Mishnah in a completely different manner. שאין אדם נושא אנוסת אביו ומפותת אביו. That a person does not marry somebody who was raped by his father or somebody who was not even raped, who just he had a relationship with her, which is not his mother though, which is not his wife. הלקח אינם מונה אמו. Therefore he doesn't say his mother. בכלל הנשים שפותרות את צרותיהם. So he says, why doesn't he say his mother? He says his daughter, how come he doesn't say his mother? אבל ההלכה היא חכמים הסוברים, but the halacha is like the sages that says, שנושא אדם אנוסת אביו, it says, the sages actually says that a person is allowed to marry his father's rape. If his father, or just his father has been with another woman. Even though she's your sister, you're allowed to marry her according to Torah. Because she's not...
Sister from the mother.
She's not sister from the mother, from the father.
From the father.
She's not, because it's not his daughter to some. It's his daughter for Yibum, but it's not his daughter for marriage. Yeah? שנושא אדם אנוסת אביו, the sage says that a person is allowed to marry somebody that his father had a relationship with other than his mother. ולפי שאפשר שתהיה אמו אשת אחיו, and since that it is possible that one's mother can be the wife of your brother, כגון, for example, how can it be? שנשא ראובן married את אנוסת אביו, somebody that his father had relationship with out of marriage. ושמן הוא אחיו מאביו, and Shimon is the brother from his father. שילדה לו אותה אנוסה, that was birthed through that relationship. וכשמת ראובן, and when Reuven passed away, בלא בנים, without any sons, נמצא נופלת אימו של שמעון לפני שמעון ליבום, that his mother, now he needs to marry her. הרי שלפי ההלכה יש 16 נשים הפותרות צרותיהם, ואימו אחת מהם. So there's one more that we didn't mention, the mother, because even that can happen.
That could be some situation.
That's right. It is crazy, yeah.